Tinashe Nengomasha has given Kaizer Chiefs an advice as to how they can prevent being in a situation like PSG and Manchester United. And I know people are like, what are you even talking about? Well, I will explain. Hello and welcome to Coast Nation Fan TV. I am Pilo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Amakosi Football Club. Zlatan Ibrahimovic and Kylian Mbappe. Those are the two players who have played for PSG. One is actually currently playing for PSG. Just so happens that Zlatan Ibrahimovic also played for United. And why are these two teams the prime examples that I'm using for the thing that Tinashe Nengomasha talked about? Well, it's because it turns out that at Old Trafford and Parc de France, the stadium of PSG and the stadium of Manchester United, what ends up happening is that there is so much player power that the players have the power to influence and get the coach fired. How does this relate to Kaizer Chiefs though? Because we have seen that with the fans, after Itumeleng Kune was ill-disciplined and he did what he did, obviously he's suspended right now. A lot of people have been fighting his battles and talking about how they shouldn't have done this to Kune. What if he's going through some things? Why would they not forgive him? Why are they treating him like this? And all of that stuff. But it occurred to me, and it occurred to Tinashe Nengomasha, that Kaizer Chiefs seems to be lacking leadership, which is funny because at the same time, the person who actually did the things that Kune did, which is coming to the job, smelling of alcohol, was supposed to be the leader of the dressing room. But how can it be solved? Well, this is what Tinashe Nengomasha says. He says that he thinks, and in his time there was a player committee, so players were not just accountable to the team, but they were accountable to each other. So this player committee, they would come together and then they would put each other in a straight line and then talk about these other things. And yes, there were still issues even back then, but now there's something that we ignored that is seemingly becoming an even bigger problem. This racial divide and racial tension that we've heard people talk about. And even, it's not even about the rumors, that the thing that worries me, because if it was just the rumors that we're hearing that, oh, there's racial tensions at Kaizer Chiefs, that's one thing. But the bigger problem now is the fact that fans are fueling this. And I just want to come out and say it. I don't like it when we divide our own players, especially with race. I don't like that. I will tell you now that I think Edson Castillo is better than Youssef Mart, and Edson Castillo should be starting ahead of Youssef Mart if everyone is fit. But you will not hear me say, Edson Castillo should start ahead of that colored. That's not acceptable. We cannot be classifying our players according to their race, because at the end of the day, they are all Kaizer Chiefs players. And as much as there might be a problem between the colors and the blacks at Kaizer Chiefs, then as fans, we shouldn't be fueling the fire and saying, oh, Vele, the colors are treated better. Oh, Vele, look at Mart, he's always playing. Oh, Vele, look at Dupree, he plays all the time when he's available. But Dupree works hard, Mart works hard. So they are playing and being there to play. It's not because they are colored players, it's because they are working hard and they're getting themselves there. And also, just to make an example, which is going to sound racist again, if you look at the players who have made it overseas, they are mostly colored players. And it's not racist. It's not because people in England think, oh no, these ones are better because they are colored. No. Lucas Hatebe still made it. He was a black man, but he still made it overseas. But you look at the majority of South African players who have made it into the high leagues. You have Abo Lyle Foster right now. You have Abo Penny McCarthy who are playing very well. Abo Stephen Pienaar, he's colored, right? And then you have other players who are colored who have played and done well over there. And even now, we know most of these colored players that we see playing, they actually do work hard. It's not because, oh, they're just colored, so they're given preferential treatment. So I want to urge you guys, as people who are watching this channel, that let's not fuel this thing. Instead, what we should be preaching and encouraging is the fact that these players should be united. These players should be one because they are playing for the same team. And speaking of which, if there's someone who's coming out of line, this is where Tinashe Nengomasha comes in again in this whole thing, because now I've taken a tangent because, well, I don't want division, is that the players themselves, they must be accountable to each other, because if there really is something racial or non-racial, that thing should be addressed by the club one, but also by the players themselves. Because if Bona they are not accountable to each other, then they will go out there. Those people will not be fighting for each other. Classic example of people who are fighting for each other, fighting for the families, fighting for the country. You're looking at the Springboks and how they played, because those men are accountable to each other. Those men are accountable to everyone that's around them. And for a biggest club in South African football, for us to start hearing things like, oh, these ones are untouchable or something like that, that cannot be happening. That should not be happening. And I hope that if really there is something that is like that, if there was even a hint of something like that coming up, then we should address this. And I have a question for you. Since the person that I won't say since what we thought was the leader, let me make this example. You have Itumeleng Khone who came to the training ground smelling of alcohol. You have Kikentoli who gets injured, the vice captain there is, who came back from injury and had gained weight again. So these two top players of ours, the captain, the senior, the leader of the team, and the vice captain, both of them seem to have struggled with some discipline. The question to you is, this thing that Nengomasha is saying, that players should be accountable to each other, how do we then make it happen? Because clearly it seems like Chiefs is lacking leadership, because we're going to say the same thing about Yusuf Mat. I'm going to make that example, because in the derby people were complaining about him throwing hands in the air, and yes, he did that. He wasn't the only one, but he also did that. But he was also, or he's also, one of the players who are up there in the leadership of Kaizer Chiefs. So given that it seems like these people who are supposed to be leading and the other guys who are supposed to be experienced and showing leadership to the rest of the team, like Kushant, okay, Wokele nje groundini, or doesn't show that much hunger when he's playing, then what do we do? Like, what do we do? Is it the coach's problem? They've chosen a leadership team that is not strong enough? Because honestly, I've counted like 4 players who are our senior players, but they've not done things well enough for the young players to look at and say, you know what, I want to be like Kune. He's an exemplary person. Because people are going to say, oh, Kune, but he is going through a lot right now and all of that. Everyone is going through a lot. Like, I'm going through a lot right now. It's cold. I should be wearing a coat, but I have to record a video. That the other thing is irrelevant. The point is, I'm out here because this is kind of my job. I'm doing it, and I'm not going to complain about doing my job because it is my job. So it would be disrespectful for me to make a video while I'm drunk, even if I'm going through things. You get me? So what I'm trying to say is the fact that we can defend these players all we want, but at the end of the day, they are professionals and they're expected to do their job. But now, seeing that the leadership structure in those players is shaking, who would you actually select to be the captain of the team, and why? And also, who would you put around that person to continue leading the team? I was saying about Kune that it's not the first time that he's been accused of alcohol and going to parties or stuff like that. Remember in 2020 that apparently him and Matoho, they also went out and drank and stuff like that. So these things are coming back now, and you're like, that might have been true, because the same thing Katoso said, Uguti, these guys were drinking. You're like, this might have been true. So once again, I'm asking myself, Uguti, who should actually be the captain of Kaizer Chiefs? Or do you think the current captain is fine? Umat is fine, Ukone, Dole are fine? If you think otherwise, do let me know down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, Ikos, Alpelumoy.